Hi, in this video I will be explaining how to find the interval solutions for the problem that we see in front of us, cosine 2x greater than 1 minus sine x. How can we figure out where that graph is greater than 1 minus sine x? So if we graph both functions, y equals cosine 2x will look like that, where the period is just pi, because if we do 2 pi divided by b, where b is the 2 right here, then we will see that 2 pi divided by 2 is the period, which is pi. So one period stops at pi. And I drew two periods between 0 and 2 pi. And I'll just show the solutions between 0 and 2 pi. I also graphed 1 minus sine x in green, as you can see. And if you look at the graph, cosine 2x, or the purple graph, is greater than or higher than the green graph in two locations, right here and on the right a little bit. So the challenge is to know where the graph meets. So for example, that point, I don't know what that point is. Looks like, it's pi over 4, but it's really not. My graph, maybe not that great. And then there's also that point here that I don't know. This one maybe is pi, maybe not. And this one looks like it's 0. So how can we figure out the 4 spots that the graph meets? So in this interval from 0 to 2 pi, this is where the graph meets. And right here, the purple graph, or cosine 2x, is higher than 1 minus sine x. And right here also is the same thing. So I want to know that interval and that interval. So to do that, I have to know where the graph meets. And that means I want to know where the graphs are equal in value. That's where they meet, where they're equal. So I will just set them equal, the two equations. This will require some algebra skills, knowledge of identities, so that you would solve the equation. So after replacing cosine 2x with one of the identities, 1 minus 2 sine squared x, and bringing everything to one side, factoring and solving, we should reach that sine x could be equal to 0, and sine x could also be equal to 1/2. So if sine x equals to 0, we know that there are two spots where that happens, in between 0 and 2 pi. It's 0 and pi, where if sine x equals 1/2, that's either 30 degrees in quadrant 1, or in quadrant 2 also sine is positive, so 150 degrees. We'll stick with radicals. 30 degrees, that's pi over 6. And the other one is 5 pi over 6. So 30 degrees and 150. So that tells me that this point right here, I know my graph is not that great. That's pi over 6, 5 pi over 6. That's where pi is, and that's where 0 is. So my solution should be written as follows. So for cosine 2x greater than 1 minus sine x, the solution should be x is between 0 and pi over 6, and also x is between 5 pi over 6 and pi. So although 0 is included in the restriction, that's where the graphs are equal, not one greater than the other, so I'm not going to include that because of the sign right here. I wrote it a little better there. And that's it. Thank you.